Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new here, my channel is always about loving my collection as it is, being critical of new makeup releases, and kind of being critical of what we may bring into our collection. That being said, I want to talk about my 2021 beauty favorites. Before we get into it, let's have like a little bit of a discussion before we start talking about my favorite beauty items. First things first. Whenever I'm talking about my favorite beauty items, these are things that I personally really enjoyed for the year of 2021. And I'm just letting you know what I have enjoyed. This is not to pressure you into thinking that you need these items, because you don't. And if you have a larger makeup collection, you're going to have things in your collection that can act as these items would in my collection. So please be aware of that as you're watching my favorites. This isn't for me to this isn't to promote you going out and shopping, but I do just want to share things that I felt that have been very beautiful and have worked really well with me in my collection. So if you're on a no buy, please do not break your no buy because of something I say. If you're on a low buy, please be very critical of what I'm saying to you and listen, because I might say that I like something for a reason that you might dislike it. So keep that all in mind. And also keep in mind that some of these things I may have purchased with a discount. Some of these things I may have bought while I was working at Sephora. Some of these things I received for free when I was working at Sephora as gratis. So that can also skew my opinion, because some of these things I didn't pay full price for. So I like it for the amount that I spent on it, or for free. These might not be things that I might repurchase. So I just want to be very upfront with you before we start talking about all of my makeup favorites from this year. Second thing, these are my favorites that I used this year. This does not mean that these are technically releases that happened this year. These are formulas and items that I have continued to reach for throughout the year. Also, if you are new here, the second half of 2021, I have been on a no buy. And that has also influenced what I have been reaching for, because the second half of the year, for the most part, I have been really focusing on my collection as it currently stands, weeding through it. I've even been doing a project where I've been trying to use all of my makeup in the month of December in 31 days. I will leave that project playlist down below. It's like my Messmas series, my posting every day in the month of December series. So that's down there for you to check out if you want to see me using these products. And I would also suggest you going there to see these products in action. I don't feel like swatching. I don't have the time to do like swatching edits either, like to record overhead, as I am posting every day for the rest of the year. So if you want to see something in action, there is a video where this is getting touched, this is getting used, getting swatched. Okay, so please know that. I think that's all of the caveats I need to give, because it just felt important for me to say. So if this kind of content sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Also, make sure you like this video, and I'm on Patreon if you would like to support me there. Okay, let's talk about beauty. Let's start with Complexion. Let's see where we go from there. So this favorite was very popular a couple of years ago. All of the beauty gurus really liked this product, and I actually didn't try it at the time, but I did receive it in gratis from Sephora, and it is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This product has such a lovely smell. It is not too fragrant. It dissipates really quickly when you're spreading it across your face. I don't know if it is an added fragrance or not, but it is, I think, a very delightful scent. The other thing I like about it is it's kind of like a lotion gel, and it melts into the skin really beautifully and leaves your skin feeling super hydrated and plump and ready for makeup application. The one thing that it has that I feel like a lot of other primers that have this lotion-y formula that feel really good on the skin is there's a grip to it. So if I think about like the Hydro Grip from Milk makeup, but this is really easy to work with, whereas I feel like the Milk Hydro Grip Primer is very difficult to work with. This is very user-friendly. You put it on, there's no wait time, like it's not tacky. It just does grip the makeup. And it's just like a beautiful product. And then I wouldn't use this as a moisturizer. I don't think it's enough as a moisturizer, but as a primer, It's just so lovely. And I have oily skin, just for you to know as I continue to talk about products. And I think that maybe someone with oily skin would be scared of this. It's not adding like dewiness. It's just making your skin ready for makeup application, which is a lot different than like being dewy, being this and being that. It's not going to add anything to like your oil problem if you feel like your oils are a problem. So highly recommend this product. It is very good. I think it's worth the $62. I would say, I don't have it over here, but if you want to try something that's a little less expensive that reminds me of this, the All Nighter primer from Urban Decay is like a very, very similar product to this. And it comes in a pump if you prefer a pump. But I don't explore a lot of drugstore on my channel. I don't explore a lot of drugstore outside of my channel. Like, I just don't own a lot of drugstore because I worked at Sephora for so long that a lot of my gratis was like stuff that you could buy at Sephora. So that kind of is the vibe of my channel too, is like I kind of like more luxury high-end products. So just also know that as we continue forward. But I will be buying this when I'm out of it. It's been very good to me. Okay, so the next item I'm going to talk about is another primer. I have done my best. So there is going to be a retrospective of my month-long project that I will do at the beginning of January. But just to let you know, I'm trying really hard to keep my favorite items from that project out of this, because some of those things are like newly discovered. And this is the only exception. This is something that was newly discovered within my collection that has quickly risen to the top. And it is, of all things, the Glowy Makeup Serum from Hindash, which you might be saying like, of all things, why are you saying it like that? I would never have guessed that this would have been anything that I would have enjoyed. Laneige feels, well, I only think of them as their like lip balm, like their lip masks. And I kind of just feel like they've been kind of gimmicky. However, I received this in gratis, and I had this in my skincare, my backup of skincare items, because I got a lot of skincare gratis when I worked at Sephora. And skincare is kind of expensive, and it's nice skincare, so I'm like trying to work through that. But skincare takes me a long time. I use it every day. But I also use mine in moderation. Like, I'm not trying to like put too much on my face. Anyway, I'm just saying that I was in my skincare backups and saw this, and I was like, oh, I think this can be used as a primer. Oh my God. Oh my God. It makes your skin feel so good. And what happened was, as I have been testing this in my month-long project, every time I get to choose from all of my primers again, this is the first thing I've reached for every time. It made one of my foundations that I ended up decluttering look really good on my skin. And I was like, this is a bad foundation, but a fantastic primer. It smells kind of like, doesn't really have a scent. It has like some like beads in it. I'm not really sure what they are. I didn't ask questions. I just started using it and I was like, oh, this slaps. This is like a really nice product. And so I would also say, again, for oily skin people, I don't think that you would hate this. It says it's a glowy makeup serum, but I feel like the most I get out of it is that it makes my skin look very plump. And I do think it has like a slight blurring effect. It just makes my skin, it's not really like look really good, but it feels really good. And then everything sits beautifully on top of it. This was a game changer for me. And I believe that this is only $32. And this will be something that will always be in my collection. I will always have this in my collection until I try something that offset. This is something that I will always want in my drawer, as well as the Bobbi Browns. This has been a true win. I should have said this at a top. I should have said this at a top. I should have mentioned this at the top. It's okay if your favorite is not something that came out this year and is something that you have had for 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, and it's something that you continue to reach for. That's allowed to be your favorite. It doesn't always have to be a new thing. You're allowed to enjoy your collection. You're allowed to have favorites. It's allowed, like, if that's not exciting to someone else, that's okay. What's really exciting is that you are getting to use this item that you have either spent money on or is gifted to you, and you are using it tippity top to the bitty bitty bottom. And that's amazing. So keep that energy. If that's who you are, keep that energy. Your favorites don't have to be from this year. Or if it's something that you've purchased 1,000 times, that's allowed to be your favorite of 2021. That's allowed to be your monthly favorite. Just consider that. Remember that. This foundation changed my life this year. I bought this foundation because of Michelle Wong. And Michelle Wong is like, it's my favorite foundation. Michelle Wong, if you're not familiar, she only reviews luxury makeup. So it's a pretty penny. This is not the most expensive foundation that she's reviewed, but it's still more expensive than what you would buy at Sephora. So keep that in mind. But it is the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. The only thing I don't like is I hate this applicator. I hate it. There's a little button on the bottom. I hate that. I hate that. So I need you to know that. Honesty, I hate that. Everything else I love. Everything else I love. It is a light to medium coverage foundation. But the magic of it is that it blurs your skin so beautifully and leaves your skin looking healthy. Now, I have used very luminous foundations before, and I know this is called the Dewdrop. This isn't the most luminous foundation I've used. It is more luminous than a skin finish, and I want to be upfront about that. But it is so incredible. And I really love a light to medium finish foundation. I don't need full coverage. I like a full coverage foundation every now and then. If I want to put on a beat, that's really fun for me to put on a full coverage. But this works on Instagram. This still looks really beautiful, but my skin's still showing through, but it's blurred imperfections. It's evened out my redness. This is the kind of product that my dreams are made of. However, it is $75 for this. This is not even a full ounce, which is typical of foundations. Typically, you're getting an ounce. So it's expensive. But it's beautiful, and I actually, because you can't see in it to know how much you have left, I don't believe in buying backups, but there was a sale. So I bought it on sale. It was $50 instead of $75, which is still expensive for a foundation, but it's not $75. And I know that I love this, so it's going to get used up. I will be curious to see if we can have anything dethrone this. That's how much I like it. I don't believe in holy grails, but this is certainly something that I will continue to purchase until it's dethroned. Is my favorite foundation, is gorgeous, is glorious. It's great with a hand application. I prefer it with a brush. I've never tried it with a sponge, but I don't foresee myself liking that. It's just a gorgeous foundation. I'm just so glad I have it. I'm so glad I took the plunge to purchase it. It's giving. Let's move on to another complexion product. It is the Givenchy Teint Couture City Balm. Now, they took this out of Sephora. They took it out of Beautylish. They still have it on their website. So I don't know if this is getting discontinued or it's just retailers aren't selling it because it doesn't sell well. There's a reason it doesn't sell well. And it's because the shade range is atrocious. It's atrocious. And every time I recommend this, I make sure that I go out of my way to say that the shade range for this is atrocious. However, if you can find something that works... Is this what I have on today? Yes, this is actually what I have on today. You're pretty far away, but there's plenty of videos of me pulling this out. You can see how it's flattening out. I don't know how much is left in here. Still a good amount, but it's getting used. It has more coverage, I think, than the Dewdrop foundation, and it's a balm, but I love that there is SPF in it, but don't forget that you have to reapply SPF throughout the day. Not necessarily this, but this is great for the morning, but just remember, throughout the day, you need to reapply SPF. That's something that you have to do. It does have a scent. It dissipates very quickly, though. I can't smell it on my face, but whenever I'm using it, you can definitely, Givenchy has a particular scent. Don't know what it is, but it does. If you've ever smelled a Givenchy product, even their powders, that's what it smells like. So whatever floral note that they use, it's not rose, because I really don't like rose, and I would be able to clock rose, but it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful product. It blurs. It has a little bit more coverage. I really like using this with the brush. I don't know. It gives. It gives. Not as much as the Surratt, but this one is at a more accessible price point than the Surratt, and you get a full fluid ounce in it. So those are things to consider if you're taking my considerations into your purchasing. This product is lovely, and I wish they would extend the shade range, because I think if they did, they would have a hit. I will say that Taylor Wynn, who I've just recently come across on my internet journey, she did a video where she said that there's an Essence foundation that she said is a dupe for this. So I will be trying that in the new year, I'm pretty sure, because I believe it's like $7. And if I could have this for $7, and the shade range is more extensive than Givenchy's, well, we have just a true winner there. But I haven't tried that. This is my favorite of one of my favorites of 2021. Okay, if you have been following along on my channel, this should come as no surprise for you. But if you've been watching my channel all year, this one was a grower and certainly not a shower. My first time using this product, I was like, I really truly don't know what's happening. I was like, I don't know. But I have limited edition packaging for this before I show it to you. And so we'll have a chat. But it is the Chantikai Perfect Blur finishing powder. This was whenever it was still a limited edition item. It was not permanent in their collection. So I bought it because I heard Teresa Zed and Michelle Wong say that they really enjoyed it. You can see, hopefully, that I have used it enough that the embossing is disappearing, which is excellent. Here's the thing about this. When I first tried it, there's a video of me trying it for the first time. I put it on and I go, I think something is happening. And then over time and time again, I would keep pulling it out and trying it. And then I started really being able to clock from when I used it to when I didn't use it, especially when I was reviewing a foundation. I would hold off on using this until like the third or fourth day with it, and then I could see that this would almost always improve my experience with the foundation and how it blurred the skin. Here's the thing about it, though. It is pretty pricey. It is pretty pricey. I actually use it in conjunction with other powders. Like, I'm not setting my full face with this. I keep it where my pores are the largest. So I do my forehead. I also use it on my under eyes because we know we have fine lines. And then I do it right on the tips of the cheeks. And then it's dreamy and gorgeous for that. And I like to buff it into the skin as opposed to sweeping it across the skin. I find that I don't get as much blur when I'm doing a light sweep. I find that when I'm buffing this powder into the skin is where it really does its magic. What's nice about it is that it does mattify. It does take a little shine away, but it's not taking the life away. I've never used this and then saw my skin and gone, oh wow, that's too matte. That's too matte. Unless I was using something really matte underneath it. It is a gorgeous, I think it's a gorgeous finishing powder. I have a backup of it because this was limited edition. And once I realized I liked it, I grabbed another one. So I will have this packaging until I've used up both of them. But it is permanent in their range now, thank God. And it's something that I won't need to purchase for a while because I've done that twice this year. But I'm glad that I have it. I've really come around to it. I find that a lot of people, and this is something I found when I worked at Sephora, is when they're looking at their foundation or like looking at their pores, they're getting this close. Sweaty. No one is getting that close to you unless they're kissing you. And if they're kissing you, they don't give a fuck about your pores. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. But let's not kiss strangers in this time. This time's a little dangerous. Make sure you know them a little bit before you start kissing, okay? When you're at like a normal distance, when you're looking at your skin, like this really does it. And I find that on camera and in photos, oh baby, this is like, that's where the magic is. So I really enjoy this. I think it's a beautiful product. It's something that I will purchase again. They do have a medium deep. I can't speak to how well that's gonna work on like the deepest of skin tones. I will do some perusing through YouTube to see if I can find any really deep skin. I will do some searching to see if I can find any creators with really deep skin tones that have talked about the medium deep. I know the Fancy Face has used this. I believe she did a full face of Chantikai, and I know she used this. So I will reference her down in the links below if you want to check out that video, her full face of Chantikai. And I will try to find some other creators just to give you a little bit of variety if you are someone who has a deeper skin tone and rightfully do not trust me to make a recommendation about a powder to you. I can definitely appreciate and understand that. This was definitely released in 2020. This is kind of what sparked my love for Hourglass Powders. And then throughout the front half of this year, I kind of forgot about it. But then as I was doing the project, I used it again and I was like, oh, okay. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit. This was the 2020 holiday release. So this is what it looks like. It is the 6-pan. I liked dim light so much that I went and bought a full size because I was like getting annoyed putting my brushes in the pans here. But here's what I've learned. This is what made me fall in love with Hourglass Powders. And I'm so happy that they are starting to expand their powder range because their powders are beautiful. They are like almost the most foolproof powders I have ever used. From the blush to the bronzers to the highlight. When I initially got this, every time I would try the bronzer and the highlight, it was too deep for me. I have pretty fair skin. I like a bronze moment though, but I also think that the lighting that I use when I'm sitting over here definitely, it's, you know, it's like mood lighting, right? So you might not like clock that I'm very fair, but like this is the color that I normally am. If this color on my shoulder, this is the color that I usually am. And like just me calling myself out, that's okay. I could tell, but also this shirt was too cute to not wear because this is also a 2021 fave. I have enjoyed using this. I've been very excited to reach for it every time I've had the opportunity to in the project. So this is just really it. So if you ever see, my recommendation for this is like, they obviously do something similar to this every year. If you see it once and you're like, those are shades that I can really like and enjoy, snag it once, you will enjoy it. But what I'm not going to try to encourage you to do is buy it every year because I had coworkers who would buy this every year and it's like, are you really using up those powders every year, girl? So keep that in mind too. But this is something that in the new year is definitely going to be something that I reach for so often. I really want to pan the dim light and then also the diffused light. I want to use both of those until they're gone in here and then just reach for it for like other things throughout the year. Anyway, it's a beautiful product. If you've never tried Hourglass, I know that the price on these are steep. I also will tell you that this particular edit, if you are interested in the shades in here, it's still available. They still sell it on their website. That'll be in the links down below, should you be curious or interested in trying it. I think this is gorgeous. Yes, if you've never tried an Hourglass powder and you wanted to try a variety, I think that these are a good way to try the blush, try the bronzer, try the highlighter. Again, they're not shade inclusive. Hopefully next year, because they are seemingly expanding their shade ranges in their powders, hopefully next year there will be like a deep edit because I think that would be like, first of all, so stunning. Also, I do want to see bronzers that are deep because I know that is something that they lack in their collection. Okay, those are all my thoughts on that. That's me both being critical of Hourglass, but also recommending Hourglass to you. So there you go. And then I also have another Hourglass powder. This is just as for the shade. This is the shade At Night. This is like a brick red. It's actually what I have on my cheeks today. It is my favorite blush shade I own. It's really hard for someone as pale as me to be able to use a red. And obviously, like, it's probably, some would probably consider this to be like too deep for me, but I love a blush that has like too much pigment. That is my sweet spot in makeup, where it's like, is it a deep red, a deep orange, a deep coral? Then I need it. And this satisfies all of those needs. I also think that this is probably, if you have deep skin, this is probably going to be your best go in Hourglass blushes if you wanted to try the formula. If you like a red blush, gorgeous, stunning, amazing. It's stupid. I love the shade. If you have been watching my Messmas series, this will come as absolutely no surprise, but with my full chest and full confidence, I cannot recommend these items to you enough. If you like highlighter, if highlight is your favorite category of makeup, and you love interesting colors, interesting shifts on your cheek, if you want something that's going to take you there, both the Rare Light Luminizer and the Metamorphic highlighters from Ritual Defy are my favorites. They are my favorites. So I just grabbed two. It doesn't matter the shade because I like them all. If you go through my Messmas series, I literally am like, I love this. This is the shade Phosphine. This is the Rare Light Luminizer. So this one has no glitter in it. It's just a sheen. And there's a slight shift to them. It's so intriguing. I think if you know the brand Ritual Defeat, and if you've ever seen their marketing, like if you only know them from their marketing, or you've only ever seen their Instagram but you've never tried their products, they're very ethereal, right? They talk like that's, and then the way they present everything is like very ethereal. Whoever writes their copy is very good at writing copy. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that they're very talented. These products from them fit that to a T. I don't love everything I've tried from Ritual Defeat. I still have some crystalline eye soots that I don't really understand how to use. I don't, and that's okay. I still have them. I'm going to work through it and see if I can make them work. But with my full chest, I can recommend these to you. If you don't powder, they work. They work if you tap them on top of powder, they work. You're going to get the highlights. So this has no shimmer, and then I grabbed the High Priestess. This is a metamorphic highlighter. And so this one, hopefully you can see, this one has more of like a shimmer glitter situation happening in it. They are stunning. They are gorgeous. I literally cannot recommend these enough. These are something I get so hype about. These have been like my favorite highlighters for years. And I still, to this day, always want to grab them. Always want to grab them. I open my highlight drawer. I say, I want to pull out a Ritual Defeat. And I have 11 of these. Between the two formulas, I have 11 total Ritual Defeat cheek products. And who am I? Who am I to, I just, you know, I'm not often someone who like needs all of the things in one formula, but this is kind of like the exception. I want to collect them all like Pokemon. They're just, ooh, I love them so much. Okay, let's talk about a bronzer that has stolen my heart this year. This was definitely not released this year. Back in May or June on Guilt, I caught this and then I said, ooh, baby, that is for me. I need to try it. Especially at the price point that I was able to purchase at. This is the Tom Ford Soleil Bronzer in 02 Terra. So this is the big guy, and they just continue to this size. Like, this is like, hi, hello. Here's the deal. I thought a lot about like whether or not I wanted to like say this in my favorites. But as a channel that enjoys luxury makeup, I don't think it's like too far-fetched for me to talk about something in this price range. Here's the thing. Bronzer is not a category I run through often. And it's also not a category that excites me, right? I'm not always thinking about the next bronzer. I don't need to review all of the bronzers. And even when I was doing my project for Messmas bronzers, it was very clearly my smallest category. I have cycled through my bronzers more than any other category during my project. However, I don't know if you've clocked this, if you've been following along. This is always the first bronzer that I will choose if I can choose from all of my bronzers. This is what I'm running to. I think it is matte, but it doesn't feel matte on the skin. It almost feels more skin. It feels very skin-like on the skin. And I have never accidentally done too much bronzer with it. It diffuses beautifully with a big brush. I don't know how to describe it to you. It's just an absolutely lovely formula. And I said this at the end of one of my Messmas videos, but if you don't run through bronzer, and if you're not clumsy with bronzer, so if bronzer is something that takes you like a year or two to use up, like a year if you're only using one bronzer, but like if you have multiple bronzers and it takes you a really long time to use up bronzer, I don't think that investing in your bronzer is like necessarily a bad idea. Now, depends on who you ask, right? Like that's my opinion. This is going to take me a really long time to go through. It's a beautiful formula. I just think it's one of those things like if you were ever like thinking about trying it and you are not in a no buy and you are not in a low buy and buying it is not going to put you in debt, like you're not putting it on a credit card, if you can buy this, I recommend it. I'm going to say that. Unfortunately, to continue being critical, it only comes in one shade. It's so confusing whenever a brand has like Complexion line that is pretty inclusive and then they release a bronzer. It's my favorite bronzer. I've reached for it over top of all my other bronzers this year. It's between this and my Hourglass bronzer that I like really just shuffle through. In fact, we are getting rid of a bronzer in a few days that's pretty old that I never got through. I'm gonna recommend this, and I don't think they make this shade anymore, but I have pulled for it a lot in 2021. It is the Milk Makeup Flex Highlighter, the powder highlighter. This is the shade Lit. Now, I have managed to scrummage around the internet and find every shade but this shade available for sale somewhere. I think they're discontinuing it, or they dropped this shade and they're only selling the other two shades, which is it's a shame, because this is going to be better for fairer skin tones. But like, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look how far away you are. Look at that. Oh my God. You can see it from space if you want to, but you can also just make it very natural. It's very adaptable. It's such a beautiful formula. Milk can miss me most of the time. Like 90% of the time, Milk can miss me. And then they like nailed it with this. There was like no promotion when this was released. This was released a couple years ago. And so of course no one bought it. And I only have ever heard people who bought it very casually and passively talk about it. They recommend it. It's so good. They're like, oh my God, if you haven't tried it, try it. But now it's hard to get a hold of. But it's so good. I can't get enough. I just like the way it looks on my skin. And if you like, this is for people who love a highlight, right? It can be brought down, but I would say not for the faint of heart, but is adaptable for those of you who love a really strong highlight, but also love something that you can edit. And that's what this is. It is so good. One last complexion item. This is the YSL Touche Cloud Radiant Touch Concealer. Not the high coverage, but just the Radiant Touch. Now, full disclosure, a lot of this year I've spent saying, I think concealer is dead. Not to brag, I've been blessed with some pretty nice skin, so foundation typically will do it for me. But what's nice about this is that it's not a lot of coverage, but it adds that brightness that I'm looking for under the eye. And using my fingers to blend it out, it's almost imperceptible that I have put it on, which is great. But it does the brightening, right? So I put it on, but it melds so beautifully into whatever foundation I have underneath it. It is stunning. Now, this is pricey, and I have a couple backups of this. I don't know if it's something 100% that I would buy in the future, but I'm loving it now. But there's another concealer that I'm not talking about here that I have found in my project. Now that's a concealer that I foresee myself continuing to buy. But for 2021, the Radiant Touch Touche Cloud Concealer has been a big favorite of mine. It's a cult classic favorite for a reason. I don't know of any, I'm sure there are dupes for it. I saw that e.l.f. has like a clicky pen. I wonder if it's the same. It really works for me. I know it's not going to work for everyone, especially like people who like need a lot of coverage under their eyes. But if you don't need a lot to do, and I don't even use that much of it. This has been the one that I've been using all year. This is the same one. I've almost hit the bottom. Like it's almost gone. But such a beautiful product. I recommend this to those of you who have not a lot of work you need to do under the eyes. As far as like darkness goes. This works really well over textured under eyes, but if you need pigment to cover it, then this isn't it. But my favorite, sure is. Let's talk about first and foremost the surprise, the shocker, the thing that if you would have told me at the beginning of 2021 that I would be putting it in my favorites, that I would be saying you're a liar. And this is a mini, but this is the Rose Jewel lip gloss from Charlotte Tilbury. Now, I don't even know that I like love this formula because I do eventually get the white ring with it. However, the way that this sits on my lips as I first apply it, undeniably gorgeous. It's like just pigmented enough where I can tell that it's covering my lips, and it's just shiny enough that it's just like gorgeous and reflective, but not too much. Like kind of exactly what you want a Charlotte Tilbury product to feel like, where it does the perfect thing with ease. And I say this every time I talk about this. Charlotte Tilbury is like not a brand that I'm interested in buying from the most part, but I want a full size of this lip gloss. Full stop. I want to have the opportunity to use a full size of this because I've enjoyed using this so much. I love putting it on top of lipsticks. I like wearing it by itself. I love wearing it with just a lip liner. This is just like and it is this shade. I don't think I would like another shade as much as this. It's like it's like mauve with gold reflect. It's like very basic, but I love it. I love it. I hate that I love it, but I really do. This was definitely released this year. This is from Hourglass. This is their True Red lipstick. It's in their Confessions formula. Sorry, it's not True Red. It's Red Zero. And this is my first time trying a Confessions lipstick, but there are layers as to why I appreciate this. Now, I am not someone who only uses vegan beauty products. And to full disclosure, I don't go out of my way to know whether a brand is cruelty-free. So I'm going to admit that up front. However, what I do believe and what I do know is that cosmetics should be vegan and absolutely should be cruelty-free. I do believe that. And what Hourglass has done is taken carmine, something that requires like crushing up beetles to create. They've created that pigment, but in a vegan formula. And that's what's so special about this. It is a beautiful, just true red. It looks so good on the lips. Also, the Confessions lipsticks are so comfortable. I love that they're so creamy and dreamy. That's what I like. I like something that has like, it's creamy. I love something that like is luminous on the lips. If it's a lipstick, if I'm using a lipstick. So this ticked a lot of boxes. And this also was maybe the first lipstick that I tried this year where I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't have to be matte. Like this can be it. And this is a gorgeous formula. I really kind of love this. I love that there's like a beetle on it. It's very cool. And also these are refillable. So when I run out, I can always just buy a refill of either the Red Zero, or I could buy whatever shade I want and put it in here. So love this for many reasons, but the Red Zero is a gorgeous red. If you are interested in a new red, I would recommend it. And I also hope that the patent comes through and they can sell the patent so everyone can use this cruelty-free vegan carmine, which would be great. That's what this is innovation, right? Like it doesn't look like innovation, but it is. And I think that's what's important, and that's why it's also a favorite of mine for this year. I have 2 Pat McGrath lipsticks. One is like a fave that I've had all year. The second is one that I have had a love affair in recent weeks. This is the shade Omi. This is in holiday packaging from a couple years ago. This is like a beautiful nude for me. It is so gorgeous. As you can see, I like to layer it on top of things. It's like pretty. There's like a dark shade underneath it. However, okay. It's going to take me forever to use a lipstick. That's a good amount of use for me. I would say I'm about halfway down the stick, which is amazing and incredible. So that's like a real testament to how much I love it. But it is if I don't know what kind of lip to put on, this is what I grab. The Matte Trans formula is comfortable enough. And I do find that the comfort varies from shade to shade. Not all shades are made equal. The Omi shade is pretty comfortable. It's not the most comfortable. I'm going to talk about the most comfortable Matte Trans shade that I own. But it's beautiful for the lips. So it's like that beautiful like mauve nude. It does have pink to it. So it does lean more pink. But if you're okay with like a mauve nude, it just is. It gives... I really like it. I like layering it on top of things. I like it with a dark lip liner. I'm putting this in the center. This is like such a versatile lip product for me. It is constantly getting picked up out of the drawer all year. And even when I've been cycling through my lipsticks, this was the first lipstick I grabbed whenever I could grab from all of my lipsticks again. So that's just like a testament to how I feel about this shade. The other shade I grabbed is the shade Full Blooded, which is like a deep maroon shade. And it is just like the perfect bitchy lip for me. It is hot. It's awesome. It's just like, and this is a Matte Trans formula. However, I have found that this stays rather luminous and I like that. I don't know what it is about this particular, and it's the most comfortable Matte Trans formula. It just feels really good on the lips, which is weird because it's a matte formula, but isn't a matte formula because it doesn't even read as a matte formula. It's so good. Wow, I got like very excited about Full Blooded. The irony of me talking about lips the way I am in this video after posting a literal declutter that was like titled like, turns out I'm not very excited about lip product, and then here I am being excited about lip product. You know, the tides can turn. Tina Can Turn the Tables Full Blooded is a beautiful lipstick from Pat McGrath that I think I would have in my collection. I'm sure there are dupes for it, but it's just, you know, it's like grungy, it's like cute, it's like a dream, just a dream lip for me. One final lip gloss. This is the Flesh Fantasy lip gloss from Pat McGrath. It's actually what I have on my lips today. Let's put some more on. And interesting about this is this has no glitter in it. And I love a gloss with a shimmer in it. But this is just a nude lip gloss. And I use this on top of everything. I use this to top so many lips. I also will use it with, there's one time I did a lip where it was like a brown lip liner, Flesh 3 from Pat McGrath, Oh Me from Pat McGrath, this on top, and then another sparkly lip gloss in the center. That's a lot of lip product. Who wants to do all of that on a normal day? But for like a photo or like a video, damn, it slaps. So I really like this. It's like very neutral. It's, you know, you can't, nudes, are they exciting? No. But are they what we reach for the most? Very likely, unless you're someone who wears a very bright lip, which I respect you. I'm not you, but I respect you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about eye products. Take a guess. What's it gonna be? I have 4 things. Well, I have 5 things, but one thing is not. One of these things is not like the other. Okay, so let's talk about the thing that's not like the other because it's kind of important. It's like, it prefaces what else we're going to talk about. This year I tried the Air Atelier eye primer. And Air Atelier is a brand that only makes primers. Which is a niche, for sure. Here's why I like this. It doesn't drag. It almost feels slippery, which is weird for an eyeshadow primer. And what I'm about to say to you might shock you. So I often, if I'm using like a MAC paint pot, I will put a powder down before, like a translucent powder down before I start putting my eyeshadows on. This, I don't need to do that because there's enough slip in the formula for the shadows to blend. Here's the kicker. One day the first day I tried this, or the second day, like one of the first times I tried this product, I had on a full face of makeup and I was kind of like joking, but I was like, let me try riding my Peloton for 45 minutes with this eyeshadow on to see how this eye primer works. Not a crack, not a crease, it was perfection. And I was gagged. This is kind of expensive. I think these are like $30 or like $32, so it's not the most inexpensive, but it makes the colors, it helps embolden the colors, it like blends. It just is like the perfect eyeshadow primer for me. Don't get me wrong, I still really like my MAC paint pot. That's like my other preferred methodology if I'm depending on what I'm doing, but I love this eye primer. Let's move on to eyeshadow. I'm gonna start with 2 things that are like a little more nebulous, a little more. Last year, on Black Friday, I participated in Cliona's sale. So this is my Cliona collection. Actually, there's a couple that are in another palette because I really went ham. It's incomparable to anything else in my collection. Now, full disclosure, I have not tried a lot of multi-chromes, other special shadows like I've never tried anything from Glaminatrix. I've never tried anything from JD Glow. These are all brands that I've heard really great things about. So keep that in mind. But I went all in on Cliona after I tried a couple of their multi-chromes. I bought everything I could. Anytime I've needed oomph in an eyeshadow that a palette couldn't provide, this is where I'm running. I also did a video where I swatched all of them because they were running a sale and I was like, in case you needed swatches, here they are. So you can see how beautiful these are under different lighting, but under studio lighting is honestly where they shine the most. They are glorious, 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 glorious little things. They're expensive, and my recommendation is always I would say wait for a sale. And then they also normally they do bundles where it's if you buy 5, you get the 6th free. If you make your own set of 6. I would say start with 6. Build your collection from there, because I've also had some feedback in my comments that people who did not enjoy the Cliona formula. So it's not a one size fits all situation, but I would say because I live in the United States, and so you're shipping from Canada, which is international shipping, even though we're connected. So I understand that shipping is like a little bit of a different thing, and I think they've gotten faster since I bought mine. That's what I've heard, is that like Clionadh has ships out a little bit better than whenever I bought. But you know, you have to like be patient. So I would say like just buy one and see that, but I would say it's probably, if you don't mind buying one and paying for the shipping and being patient to wait one to see if you like the formula. They also have different types of multi-chromes too. They have like the glitter multi-chromes, the like glitter toppers that they do, like the regular glitters, like, so they have a couple different formulas. So I would say if you want to try multiple formulas, I think it's worth it to like put together a few to try. But if you just want to try one, do that. Like I would not advise you jumping all in like me, because this will, me buying all of these is going to limit what I can buy in the future from other brands, because I almost have like every multi-chrome under the sun, right? Like, I mean, obviously, Clionadh is releasing more multi-chromes. I don't have every shift possible, but, you know, when you're shopping online, you can only see so much in it, like, and how similar it could be to something that I own. And if I can dupe it with a Clionadh, why would I buy it? Because this leaves me from, it prevents me from trying other brands that I would like to try with different formulas, with, you know, so keep that in mind whenever you're shopping for Clionadh. But they're lovely. They're lovely. They're just, I don't know. I'm glad that I have them. So I will say that. So earlier in the year, I bought both Natasha Denona 28 pan palettes, but I'm only going to sit here and tell you about the green. Green is my favorite color of eyeshadow. Green is the eyeshadow that I want to like touch the most and play with the most. This satisfies a lot of things. I've also been very into neutrals this year, which has like not always been the case for me. I was like a brights girl for a long time. And so this, I've like settled into this. Now I touch a lot of the same shades in here, but I used this like taupey shade in one look, this for Messmas, and it like blew my mind. The mattes in here perform beautifully. The mattes in here get you where you need to go, but also using a shimmer in the outer V, using a metallic in the outer V, like I'm not above that. So I play with this all the way, all the time. Like this is just the perfect palette for me. I said this in a video that if I could only buy one eyeshadow palette again, it'd be this one, because this is what I would use the most. Like if I didn't want to ever make another look that, like if I wasn't being, if I didn't feel pressured as someone who enjoys makeup to be able to utilize brights and I could just use neutrals all the time, this would be it. This would be it. It satisfies all the needs. What else do I need? What else do I need? Because it's warm on this side, it's cooler on this side, and then you have the beautiful greens in the middle. Like, and then you also have like, obviously you have like some neutral shimmers too. I love it. It's expensive, but I love it. And I would do it again. Now, when I bought them, they were on sale as a set of 2. So that really brought the cost down. Like it was like basically 2 for the price of 1. So that's why I did it. But knowing what I know now, I would pay the full price for just this one. Knowing what I know now. Because if this was my only palette, one, this would last me forever because these pans are huge. These are 2 grams in each pan. That's a lot of product. So that's why it's like so expensive. And again, if I was a working makeup artist and this was like the palette that I always use, it would still last me a really long time. It's just gorgeous. And I love that the pans pop out of this. Like you can build your own palettes, which I did. Like I did pop these out and like went on vacation with a couple of these shades from this palette, a couple from another Natasha Denona palette. Stunning, gorgeous, really just, really what my eyeshadow dreams are made of in my tastes right now. Okay, let's talk about the one that was discontinued this year. This is actually, this was something, and I know a lot of you who are already subscribed to me participated in this culture, but the Natasha Denona Gold palette. So I found out it was being discontinued, and I had always envisioned the Natasha Denona Gold palette being part of my collection. And when I found out it was being discontinued, I thought I was too late. But I put my little email into Sephora, and I was like, if it gets restocked, I would like it. It got restocked. I bought it. I was on my no-buy. I did break my no-buy to buy this. However, what I need you to know, what I would like for you to know is that no regrets. So I bought it, I used it a couple times, and then I have now reached in for this palette during my project for like these topper shades. It's a gorgeous palette. I have no regrets about it. I know that like you wouldn't be able to buy this, but that's not what the point of favorites are. I'm allowed to love a favorite. I'm allowed to have a favorite that you aren't able to purchase. I think if you're inspired by this color story and you have things that you can use in your collection that would emulate this, that's great. That one, you've already saved yourself money. Like one, you can't buy this So temptation is fully removed. 2, it forces you to look in your collection to be with your critical eye going, what could I use that's going to emulate what the gold palette can do? And then you're going to make something that you could make with the gold palette. However, I do own the gold palette and I really like it. So this is part of like the greater Hannah Louise Poston universe. And I think I think what happened is like what Hannah said had the opposite effect. Like all of us went to like go find it. And so I think a lot of us purchased it after we realized it was being discontinued because it was one of those things where we like always envisioned it in our collection. So if you miss out on it, trust and believe that you have things in your collection, very likely if you have a large makeup collection, that you could easily use to do a similar situation in your collection. So don't be worried if you didn't get it. But if you do have it, I hope you love it as much as me, because what I wasn't expecting is to go out of my way to grab it, to use toppers from this particular palette with other looks. Like, I've done it a couple times where I'm like, you know what this could use is Kava. And so I will like jump in here and like use Kava. So that's just something to note. That's interesting. That's why I'm putting it in my favorites, because I have gone out of my way to touch it multiple times since I got it. Which is funny because I also did a video this year, like getting to know makeup that I don't have any relationship with. And this was the palette I used in that. It turns out I have quite a great relationship with it here at the end of the year. And that was only like a month or so ago. I don't know if this next one will come as a shock. It comes as a shock to me. So I'm going to say that. It's the Hindash Beautopsy palette. Now, I also did a first impressions video of this. This is what it looks like. It's the gradient one, in case you weren't aware. I did a first impressions video of this, and I was like, I don't think I get it. And then every time I've used it since, it like makes more and more and more and more sense to me how to use it. But beyond that, this is an all matte palette, right? So you can only do so much. Now, I think an all matte look is like elegant, distinguished, beautiful, and gorgeous. I clearly am none of those things because I'm a little bit of a slut for a shine. If you have a bunch of beautiful shimmery singles, plus this, I can do anything with the power of these two things combined, like my Cleona collection, all these beautiful shiny shades, plus my Hindash palette. I could almost dupe out any palette because all of the mattes are in here. I can go into all of the shades and create my own gradient, create my own shades. And you can use it all over the face. This is just a very versatile palette. And I can understand it being very overwhelming for someone who doesn't really want to play with color theory and like make your own shades, like bounce into here, bounce into there, because that's really what you could do. Like if you want to make something like really orangey, you could go into the kill side and then paint, which is like yellowy, and like kind of work those together and make your own beautiful orange shade. And just like the fact that they are gradients, you can like go into different depths within one shade is just very cool. Now, I thought it was gonna be like very overwhelming, even for me as someone who I would say I'm like color literate enough, where I don't really follow color theory rules because I just think makeup should be fun. Even I was like very intimidated by this, but I was so intrigued by the concept of it that I had to have it. Now, so the first criticism I had of it whenever I used it for the first time is that these are very densely packed. Like no kick up, no kick up, zero kick up. So to me, they take a while to get going whenever you're like tapping your brush in. But once you do, the payoff is beautiful. But I think there's something to be said for like having to build up a shade, creating like an ease of use, like ease of blendability. And so then you're really getting a beautiful gradient between the shades you put on your eyes. It's just a stunning formulation. I think that this was really overlooked by the beauty community at large. Like, I don't think, like, big YouTubers have ever talked about it. But I will tell you this. Of all of my favorite, like, my mini influencers, my favorite, like, micro creators on YouTube that have tried this palette, it's in all of our favorites. It's so good. It's so good. So I have the Grand Pro Volume 1 from Viseart, which is another formulation that I really like. They serve different purposes, but if I wasn't into, like, making my own eyeshadow palettes with the Viseart and like other shades, like serves a very similar purpose, I would just always pull this out with my single shades, with my single special shades, and just always use this as my companion piece. This is absolutely one of the best makeup items so if I could also start my collection over again, it'd be this plus all of the beautiful singles that I could find. Like, I think that's a very, like, that's, like, the way you could make a makeup collection. Because you would always have this on your vanity, and then you'd be pulling out those beautiful shades you want to play with it, because, you know, you can go warm, you can go cool. Hindash really fucking did that. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Like, Hindash really fucking did that, and he didn't have to go so hard. And I know that some people look at this and they're like, how boring. Don't look at it that way. Be inspired. Because it is inspiring. I just think that this is, it's just so good. I know I've, like, already, like, lingered too long on this, and you're like, wow, they're really harping on this, but this is expensive. However, if you don't have, like, an all matte palette, and you get really overwhelmed by, like, your beautiful special singles, which is, like, I have definitely been, like, it's, like, I never use these. This has made that so much better. And it's so user-friendly. I like how sleek it is. I like how it just has Hindash's name on it in the Beautopsy. Like, this is a top drawer item. Like, next year, I think I'm going to abuse it. I also want to use it more for my face in the new year, too. Just play with it some more. Like, doing maybe a couple times next year, doing a full face of this palette. Ooh, okay, I'm done talking about it. But if you take nothing else away, if you take no other recommendation, if you need an all matte palette, this is it. This is the one. This is the girl, okay? It's going to take some playing with. It's going to take some getting used to, especially if you're not comfortable, like, mixing your own shades. But I promise you, I have one palette left, and if you are familiar with my content, I'm sure you know what it is. It was released this year. It is what I bought on vacation as my beauty item. It is the Gucci Palette Beauté de You. I think I finally said that with, like, the ease of grace. But if you're not familiar with the inside of it, it looks like this. Now, there's, like, a whole experience that goes with this. While Hindash is, like, 100% performance, this starts with the packaging. Like, oh my god, come on. Like, come on. Come on. Like, look at that. Now, I know some people complain about the thickness of it, but as someone who has almost every Pat McGrath mothership, they are just as thick. They are just as dense. Now, the eyeshadow pans are pretty small, but I'm okay with that. Like, I think I would really be proud of myself if I used a whole luxury palette beyond that. So, you're like, okay, it's pretty, but how is the shadow? The shadows are perfect. The shadows are gorgeous. They go on the eye. They are beautifully pigmented. They are so easy to blend. The mattes show up, like the white shows up, this blue shows up. You could do a one shadow look and make it very simple, or you could do some adding depth to the eye. You could do literally whatever you want with this palette, and I think the shades in here are just perfect because you have some neutrals, but then you have like a little bit of ruddiness, and then you have a purple, and then you have a silver, like this curveball silver. You can do, and you can do so it's like not the most versatile because I feel like I end up going with like normally like something that feels like pretty grungy because I like really like the depth of these. Like, I just can't say enough that like I thought eyeshadows were passé. Before I bought this, I thought eyeshadows were passé. But after I bought it, before I started Messmas, this was like from when I bought it to Messmas, it was like the only eyeshadow palette I would use. I wanted to reach for it because I just loved playing with it so much. And that there is something to be said for that. Now, this might not be the palette that does that for you, but this is the palette that did it for me. I have had so much fun playing with it, and there's like some next level luxury feeling that I get every time I use this that is unparalleled. And I know I like said some shit about the purple in here. The purple's still very beautiful. I just wanted to use like the Pat McGrath purple that I used in that video. But like you get the click. You get, there's weight to it. And then just on top of that, the eyeshadows are gorgeous. Now, we'll see what happens in the future as far as like the universe of the Gucci palettes because, you know, this is removable. So like, I know they say that you can use it as a jewelry case once you're done with the eyeshadows. That seems like a little bit of bullshit to me. You should make more color stories so that when I'm done with this color story, I could buy a new one and pop that in. Maybe to replace this shade, or if you make new shades. I want to be able to like put them in here. So that's Gucci. That one's free. That recommendation is free. I think you should consider it. Honestly, like it's not like the most exciting looking palette, but it is a treasure to me. So those were the items and my favorites that I used throughout 2021. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if any of these were your favorites this year, or how about this? Let me know your favorite new thing that was released in 2021 that you couldn't put down, and then also let me know something that was not released this year that you've continued to use it as a beautiful item. I want to know about that too. So let me know in the comments down below those items for you. If you made it all the way to the end of my video and you enjoyed spending time with me, the subscribe button's right there, baby. Spend more time with me. I have 31 days of videos that I posted just this month for you to spend time and kick it with me. And I get vulnerable in them. So go ahead, get to know me. Let's get to know each other. Please hit that like video if you enjoyed today's video, and I'm also on Patreon if you enjoyed me that much. Go ahead, check me out there. This is my last like full video that isn't a Messmas video that I'm recording this year, and I feel like really sentimental about it. This has been a crazy year. I appreciate you so much for watching if you made it to the end of the video. I really, truly do. We always end things with the cheesiest of taglines. Follow your haute, and you will find me. Thank you again so much for watching this entire video. I love you so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.